Welcome back. So last year when they did the 16 game night, I was not ready. There was no part of me that was ready. Tonight I was prepared. I had 4 boards laid out, 1, 2, 3, and 4, all 16 games, easily accessible. My tablet next to me, computer was running, TV. You know what? I ended up doing just the normal everyday review here. So I apologize. I was going to do like a modified thing, and I tried. I tried not to take notes here. I even wrote, don't take notes on the board, and then I erased it and started taking notes. So 16 games, let's strap ourselves in. This is going to end up being posted late because that 8 o'clock start ended up being an 8:20 start because of course it was, because ESPN doesn't understand that 2.5 hours between games is not enough time. So you're just pushing back the start time over and over again when you do a triple header. But at any rate, we all survived the frozen frenzy, I would assume. We'll start things off with Washington and Philly. Lindgren versus Harrison in this one. The Flyers, they get their first power play, which struggles. In fact, there's a shorthanded goal by Washington. Dowd with a backhand top shelf on a break. Fir Avenue with the assist at 3:49. That's not a great start for Philadelphia's power play. Drysdale's denied after the power play comes to an end. We had a fight between McElrath and Delorier. Pretty good tilt there. We have an offensive zone penalty by Konechny not long after. Caps with a power play. But here's the difference. The Flyers' penalty kill is very good. Whatever they're doing on the penalty kill, bring that to the power play. Maybe even throw different guys on the power play who don't normally play it. Konechny's denied on a break out of the box. The Caps go back to the power play. There's a shorthanded rush by Lawton that brings that to an end. Shots are 7-4 for the Caps with 7 minutes left. Brink is robbed. The Flyers go to the power play, which leads to another shorthanded goal and another breakaway. So just bad power play. Mangiapane scores this one from McMichael at 15:01, and it is 2-0 for Washington. The Caps press in the final minute. They're up 2-0 after the first. And, you know, I really think the way the Flyers played on the road and the way they're playing at home, completely different. I don't know if this is getting in their head or not. The good news is that tomorrow night, Philadelphia is in Washington. It's the only game on the schedule, so we'll see if Philadelphia can bounce back. But second period, Flyers press at 3 minutes. There's a net feed to Michkov that gets picked off. Everything gets punchy at 5:28. Ristolainen has a rush chance. That's blocked. Not a lot of shots in this period. Pretty low event hockey. We get a power play for the Capitals. But again, strong penalty killing by the Flyers. And that remains a hallmark of this team, is their penalty kill. Their power play is garbage, but the penalty kill is excellent. So they were 3 for 3, and they almost had a shorthanded goal. They were a post away. Caps press with 8.5 minutes left. The teams exchange rushes. The Caps get their 4th power play of the game, and that's killed off as well. Flyers overpass on a 3-on-2 rush. That's how you can tell when a team's overthinking things. So we go to the third period with the score still 2-0 for the Capitals. We have 2 minutes of 4-on-4 to start, which seems to favor Philly. Sanheim wires one glove side from York and Michkov at 34 seconds, so that breaks the shutout. And then Strome puts one in off Zamula's foot. Carlson and McMichael with the assists at 1:38. It is 3-1 for Washington. Caps press at 3.5 minutes. We get a power play for Washington. That's killed off. Flyers get a power play. Not only is that killed, but no shots because it's a Flyers power play, so nope. Lawton has a near miss on a face-off win. And then at 14:07, Chychrun buries a wrist shot for insurance. Duhaime and Verano with the assists. Makes it 4-1, and that's your final score. The Capitals win 4-1 to go to 4-1 on the season, whereas the Flyers are 1-4-1. The shots on net, 10 apiece in the first, 8-3 Washington in the second, 11-5 Washington in the third. Final shots 29-18 for the Capitals. Power plays, Washington 0 for 5. Philadelphia 0 for 3. The hits 23-20 for Philadelphia. Lindgren 17 saves on 18 shots. Ersson 25 saves on 29 shots. All right, next up, Minnesota and Florida. You know, Minnesota, they're going to move up that power rankings board. I have not updated the power rankings tonight because there's a lot to digest, and I'll sleep on it, wake up tomorrow, and I'll revamp the power rankings a bit based on tonight's results. Gustafsson versus Bobrovsky, and I jinxed Bobrovsky right here because 399 wins. Because I was like, all right, if he gets that win tonight, that's 400. I can't not mention that. He didn't. So there's an early jump for Florida. They have 3 shots on net very early in this one. Panthers press at 2 minutes. The Wild, though, they're blocking the path to the net after allowing those early chances. Shots are 4-0 Panthers at 4 minutes. The Wild press at 6.5 minutes. And now the Panthers are doing a good job of limiting the attacks to the net. Goudreau's denied on a rush. The chances are slowing down, which is a Wild type of game. That's how Minnesota likes to play. And sure enough, at 11:40 on a net feed, Rossi deflects one in. Kaprizov and Middleton with the assists. And 22 seconds later on a rush, Johansson scores from Boldy and Brodin. So at 12:02, it's 2-0 for Minnesota, and they have quieted the crowd in Sunrise. Panthers press to respond. There's a press by Florida with 5 minutes left, and Panthers press to close it out. But it is still 2-0 in favor of Minnesota after 1. Second period, early power play for the Wild, and they score on it at 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Boldy tips one in glove side. Zuccarello and Eriksson Ek with the assists. It's 3-0 Minnesota. Remember, Tkachuk came back into the lineup, so all Florida's really missing tonight is Barkov, which is not a small part of the roster, of course, but yeah, Minnesota did quite well tonight. Shots are 7-5 Minnesota at the half. The fans had been taken out of it until at 11:19. Bennett scores from Verhaeghe and Tkachuk to get the Florida Panthers on the board. That wakes him up, and then Zuccarello pulls it was actually Kaprizov, pulls Bobrovsky out of position, goes around the net, gives it to Zuccarello. Zuccarello's the yawning cage to look at. He buries it at 13:58. So, yeah, it's 4-1. And then at 16:05, Eriksson Ek scores from Middleton. So it is 5-1 Minnesota after the second period. Third period, early press by Florida. Mikkola has a screenshot that's saved. The only shot on net was for Florida at 3.5 minutes. I'd like to thank this game for not a whole lot going on late in the game because, of course, there's a whole bunch of games going on at that time. Wild were preventing that comeback really well. Tkachuk couldn't bury one in close. The Wild clear it. The shots are 4-3 Minnesota with 6.5 minutes left. And, yeah, Florida only had one shot on net after that. So your final score is 5-1. Minnesota goes to 4-0-2 with I think, the biggest win I've seen them get in a long time. Florida 4-3-1 with the loss. Shots on net, 9-5 Florida in the first, 12-11 Florida in the second, 6-4 Minnesota in the third. Final shots 25-22 for Florida. Minnesota's 1-for-2 on the power play. Florida didn't have a power play. The hits, 55-26 for Florida. Yeah, they were hitting a lot. Gustafsson saves 24 out of 25. Bobrovsky, rough night for him. No 400th win and 11 saves on 16 shots. So, ouch is the word we'll use for that. All right, next up, Tampa Bay and the New Jersey Devils. The game with all the goals in it. And I think when they schedule all 16 games, they want all of them to look like this. They want just goals, goals, and more goals. And tonight, the hockey games weren't quite working that way, but this one did. Johansson versus Allen. I'd like to apologize for jinxing Jake Allen by talking about him in the stats video today. Missoul also making his debut. Rough night for the defense. So, anyways, Bratt's denied early. Nason's denied next. Good start for the Devils. Doesn't stay that way. The fans call when the referee does not. The Bolts press at 6.5 minutes. Chernak defends a prime chance for Palat. Doesn't let him get it in the net. Nemitz has a shot that's held. Johansson pretty sharp early. I swear, there was some goaltending in this game. The shots are 5-3 for the Devils at 8 minutes. Perbix is denied on a rush, and then on a fantastic deke on a breakaway. Jack Hughes with a nice goal. Going to see that on the highlight reel for the rest of the season, and that's at 11 minutes from Bratt and Palat, which rhymes. Sure. Power play for Tampa. Gensel gets robbed a couple of times, but at 14:07, they just had too many chances. Point buries it out of midair into the net. Cirelli and Kucherov with the assists. It's a 1-1 tie. Bolts had some momentum. This is where Allen's pretty sharp. And, yeah, there's a press by Tampa in the final minute. It's only 1-1 after the first. Second period, early press by the Bolts, but at 49 seconds on their first shot of the second period, New Jersey scores. Timo Meier from Jack Hughes. Devils press at 2.5 minutes. There's a nice glove save and a hold on a shot by Hamilton. Shots are 6-2 for the Devils at 7 minutes, and at 7:33, Hedman goes post and in. Mosier and Gensel with the assists. The Devils press to respond, but they don't. The Brandon Hagel show starts here. He scores from Cirelli and Perbix at 9:25, past a screen from the point. And then Hagel scores from Geekie and Cirelli at 13:01, and Hagel, knowing that that's Geekie's first NHL point, makes sure to grab the puck out of the net. And then Hagel scores from Lilleberg and Cirelli at 15:53, so that is a natural hat trick. 3 goals in a row by Brandon Hagel. The hope for 4 in a row gets broken up at 17:28 by Victor Hedman, who scores from Hagel and Mosier. So Hagel with his 4th point of the game, and that's a point shot past a screen, and this is where the Boo Birds are out because That's 5 goals in the second period for Tampa Bay. It's just brutal. Things get punchy behind the net for Tampa there, and then we get 4-on-4 out of that. But we're going to the third period with the score a lot to 2 in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning. 2:56 in. Bastian buries a rebound in close from Lazar to, I don't know, put a little bit of doubt in the game maybe. Then we get a power play for the Devils, and they score on it. At 5:24, it's Meyer from Tatar and Nemitz. So is the comeback on the way? No, because Tampa gets a power play basically right after that, and they score at 5:48. It is Gensel from Kucherov on a face-off win. And so, yeah, Tampa Bay's back to it. But the Devils go back to the power play, which then means a shorthanded goal for Tampa. Mosier scores this one from Paul at 9:19. The Bolts finish out the kill. No, they didn't, because then on that power play, Nason scores from Jack Hughes and Hamilton at 12:45. No, that would have been a different penalty altogether, because that's over 3 minutes apart. Anyways, first old man moment there, first senior moment. But, yeah, so New Jersey goes back to the power play, and they score on that one. I was done with notes at that point. Anyways, your final score, 8-5 for Tampa Bay. They go to 4-2 on the season with the win. See, I knew they were going to be 4-2. I knew that last night. And New Jersey drops to 5-3-1 with the loss. Shots on net in this one, 17-7 Tampa in the first, 15-13 New Jersey in the second, 13-7 New Jersey in the third. Final shots, 37-35 for Tampa. Power plays, Tampa Bay scored on both. New Jersey scored on 2 of their 3. The hits, 23-13 for New Jersey. Who has time for hits with all those goals going on? Johansson saves 30 out of 35, and Allen no longer leads the league in save percentage. He saved 29 out of 37. He was in net for all 8 goals against. All right, next up, last one on this board is Dallas and Buffalo. And I mean, hey, you know, Dallas, they end up meeting a wall in Luukkonen here. So it's Ottinger versus Luukkonen. There's an early Duchesne chance that's held. The Stars had the early edge in play. The shots are 3-0 in their favor 2.5 minutes in. And this is where the games start getting a little less notes because it's getting more and more busy at this point. Shots are 3-0 Dallas, as I said. Then the Stars draw a power play. That's killed off. The teams exchange rush chances. Sabres were improving after a slow start. We get a press by the Sabres at the half. Dahlin nearly banks one in. He tried to bank it in off the back of Ottinger there, and it almost worked. Harley keeps it from going into the net. Power play for Dallas. That's killed off. Lindell has a screenshot. That saved. So it's scoreless after the first. Second period, there's a power play for Dallas. That was killed off. Sabres get some pressure after killing that penalty. Shots are 4-2 for Dallas at 5 minutes. The Sabres press at 7.5 minutes. We get a power play for Buffalo. Cousins hits a post. And then, after a puck hits the crossbar, Krebs puts it into the net. Malenstein and Power with the assists at 12:21. Buffalo opens the scoring. Stars have a 3-on-1 that misfires, and then at 13:44, Buffalo adds one. McLeod buries one on a rush. Zucker and Power with the assists, so it's 2-0 Buffalo after 2 periods of play. Third period, Heiskanen's denied from the slot. The Stars press at 3 minutes, but at 4:17, it's Tage Thompson adding an insurance goal for Buffalo, and they turned out to need it. Power and Tuck with the assists, so Owen Power with 3 helpers to that stage of the game. Shots are 4-1 Dallas at 7 minutes, so the one shot went in the net. Peterka has a net drive that's blocked. There's an early goalie pull because they're down by 3, and it works. Harley scores from Duchesne and Dodonov at 15:24. Just too many chances for Dallas, really. And it's passed to screen, so UPL never saw it. They pull the goalie again, because what else are you going to do? And they score again. Sagan from Dodonov and Bork at 17:48. Sagan roofs a rebound and close. Where was that Dallas team for the other 50 minutes of the game? So they pull the goalie again, and now Buffalo hits the empty net at 19:49. It's Alex Tuck, Tage Thompson with the assist. Buffalo holds off Dallas. They win 4-2. They go to 3-4-1 on the season. Dallas 5-2 with the loss tonight. Shots on net, 10-8 Buffalo in the first, 11 apiece in the second, 11-4 Dallas in the third. Final shots are actually 30-25 for Dallas. Power plays, Dallas 0-3, Buffalo 0-1. The hits 20-17 in favor of the Stars. Ottinger saves 21 out of 24. UPL had a really good night, 28 saves on 30 shots. And there you go. Now, I need to change to the second board of 4 tonight. Okay, so the first of 2 No Mercy games on the board today. We also have some some Tony the Tiger magnets that have gone on the board today. So Shesterkin versus Montembeault in this matchup between the Rangers and the Canadiens, and Montembeaul's save percentage takes a hit tonight too. Starting at 54 seconds, Zibanejad scores from Fox and Panarin. The Rangers look for another, and they find it at 2:05. And that the Habs let up. They expected it to be called icing, and everybody just stopped. So the Rangers just went and buried it. Brodzinski with the goal, Edstrom and Schneider with the assist. It's baffling. You play to the whistle. We've talked about this many times. We were talking about that with Colorado fans the other night, actually. You have to play to the whistle. If you think it's supposed to be icing, you still go back and you got to touch that puck. So the Rangers get an easy one there. Pressed by Montreal at 4 minutes. The shots are 6-5 Rangers at 5 minutes. And at 6:40, it is a Riley Smith unassisted goal. That's the 7th shot on net for the Rangers. 3 of them have gone in. We then get a power play for the Rangers, and they score on it. 11:05, it is Hedl from Smith and Kakko. He tips one in on a cross-crease pass. I don't think Montembeault had a chance at that, but it ends his night. Primo goes in, and that seems to boost Montreal a bit initially at 12:52. Nick Suzuki scores his first of the season from Anderson and Savard. The Habs look for another. The emotions are rising, so the referee takes one of each to the box, becomes 4-on-4. And then there's a crossbar for Suzuki as the Habs press late in the period, but it's 4-1 Rangers after one. Second period, there's an early press by the Rangers. The Habs draw a power play, and they score on it. It is Suzuki from Matheson and Doc at 5:35. He goes around Igor on a net drive. It was a nice goal. And Kirby Doc with the helper there. Shots are 5-1 for the Habs at 7.5 minutes. And at 8:57, Schneider wires one far corner from a distance. Hedl and Kakko with the assist there. So Philip Hedl had himself a game. Rangers press at the half. We get a power play for New York. There's a net feed to Kreider. Near miss there. Power play's killed off. So it is 5-2 in favor of the Rangers after 2. Third period. Early press by New York. We get a power play for the Habs. That's killed off. Things get punchy behind the New York net, so we have some 4-on-4. And then there's a Trouba hit. I think it was on Justin Barron, wasn't it? That looked nasty. And so Montreal didn't like it, and then the Rangers come out with a power play. Marty St. Louis not impressed. Hoping Barron's okay. And I haven't seen anything from Department of Player Safety yet, but I mean, they could say something tomorrow. But again, usually when Trouba does these kinds of things, he does it in such a way that it's not over the line. It just skirts the line, so we'll see if anything comes out of it. So that power play gets killed off. Usually when it's an angry penalty kill, they are usually more successful. The Habs rush after that. I don't have scientific proof of that. It's just something I've noticed in a game. If a team's angry that they're shorthanded, they'll usually kill it off. Carrick's denied on a rush. There's a power play for the Habs. Armia is robbed just before that comes to an end. And then at 15:41, Hedl gets another one. Cooley and Carrick with the assists, and that's with a dog pile in front of the Montreal net. And Hedl just puts it in. And that's shortly after that Montreal power play ended. At 16:19, they had another. Kakko scores from Cooley and Mancini, and that ensures the No Mercy magnet goes on the board with a 7-2 win for the Rangers. They go to 5-0-1 with the win. With the loss, Montreal 2-4-1 on the season. Shots on net, 13-11 Rangers in the first, 13-6 Rangers in the second, 19-6 Rangers in the third. Final shots, 45-23 for the Rangers. Power plays, New York 1 for 3, Montreal 1 for 3 as well. The hits, 21-18 Montreal. Shesterkin saves 21 out of 23. Montembeault saves 6 out of 10. And Primo saved 32 out of 35. I don't think it's on the goaltending, but you guys can let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. All right, next up, Toronto and Columbus. And I cut this out just before tonight's game, and I'm like, I'm using it. It's an old Toronto logo, but I could use that. It's Hildeby versus Tarasov. I felt kind of bad for Hildeby because no matter how tonight went, he was not coming out of the net because Stolarz played last night. Marner has a net feed that's held as the Leafs push, and then Columbus presses around the 5.5 minute mark. They score at 5:28. Van Riemsdyk scores from Provorov and LeBanc. He just tips it in, and it was a Van Riemsdyk rush that started that press. So there you go. And then at 6:21, less than a minute later, on a turnover rush chance, Danforth scores from Werenski. It's 2-0 for Columbus. And just last night, Leaf fans were very optimistic that the Leafs got it all figured out. They're good. Look at the way they handled themselves against Tampa. It's a night later. Tampa Bay wins. Toronto loses. Things happen. So the Leafs look to respond. Columbus presses at 9.5 minutes. The shots are actually 6 apiece with 9 minutes left. The Leafs press with 7.5 minutes left, and then they turn the puck over, and at 12:41, Olivier wires one on a 2-on-1 rush. Danforth and Christensen with the assists. We get a power play for Columbus. That becomes 48 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off there, and Columbus presses in the final minute. So the Blue Jackets up 3-0 after the first period. Second period, Leafs press at 2 minutes. We get a press by Columbus at 4 minutes. Then there was a horn after a whistle. So, okay. For people who didn't watch this, basically they wanted to see if a puck crossed the line or not. But they had already dropped the puck after the stoppage. You can't go back, and I don't even know why they were going to review that, because you can't. Once the puck has dropped, it's over. The play is over. So I was surprised by the horn, and I will totally agree with the Toronto announcers that's not what they were supposed to do. So they were, I guess, reviewed it and everything's fine, but still, once the puck drops and you've started the next play, that horn can't sound. Shots are 5-3 Columbus at 5 minutes, and then at 5:35, Monahan scores from Marchenko and Werenski. He buries a rebound on a 3-on-2 rush. So some rush opportunities here for the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight. The Leafs look to respond. Matthews gets robbed at the side of the net, and then at 11:36, it's Olivier with the second of the game on a nice pass from behind the net. He buries it. Aston Reese and Danforth with the assist. So Danforth had himself a game. Columbus presses with 3 minutes left. The Leafs press back. They're kept to the outside until Matthew Nyes, unassisted at 18:59, gets Toronto on the board and breaks the shutout. Third period, there's an early power play for the Leafs. Marner has a one-timer that's held. That power play's killed off. Columbus gets a turn as well. That's killed off too. The shots are 3 apiece, 8.5 minutes in. Columbus goes back to the power play. They don't score on it, but after it's done at 11:58, Marchenko on zone entry, he buries one from the slot. Monahan and Sillinger with the assists. It's 6-1. At 13:03 on a backhand and close, Nick Robertson gets his first of the year. Tavares and Benoit with the assists on that. We then get a power play for Columbus. That's killed off. And your final score is 6-2 for Columbus. They even their record at 3-3 with the win. Toronto drops to 4-3 with the loss. Shots on net, 15-6 Columbus in the first, 14-13 Columbus in the second. Both teams had 9 shots in the third. Final shots, 38-28 for Columbus. Power plays, Toronto 0-3. Columbus 0-4. The hits, 22-19 Toronto. Hildeby, 32 saves on 38 shots. Like I said, he could have allowed 10. He's still staying in there. Tarasov, 26 saves on 28 shots. He was good when he had to be. And so again, Toronto, that one step forward and one step back, and it's just where we're at now, isn't it? All right, next up, Detroit and the Islanders. I would like to thank this game for not much happening. I tried, and apparently in the Discord, they were saying, oh, good, this one will make his night easier. It did. Lyon versus Sorokin in this one, good early back and forth. The Islanders press at 3 minutes. In fact, the Islanders have 5 shots 4 minutes into this game, and Detroit has none. But they don't keep shooting at that rate. I thought, well, at least if the Islanders keep getting shots like at 1 a minute, this will be entertaining. Nope. The Islanders press again at 5.5 minutes, but they're not getting to the net at this stage. So the Wings are blocking the net well. They didn't have a shot 8.5 minutes in, and then they scored on their first shot at 8:54. It's Patrick Kane. Tarasenko and Comfer with the assists, and I thought, good, now something's going to happen. I was wrong. The Wings press at the half. The Islanders get some pressure. There's no path to the net. The Wings get stuck on one shot for a while. Barzal has a net drive that's blocked. It's 1-0 Detroit after the first, and I don't know how. They only had 3 shots in that period. And at the end of the period, it only showed 2, so they must have found a third one to credit them with. So we go to the second period. There's a power play for Detroit. Bergeron gets denied during that. That's killed off. Barzal gets denied. Lyon holds there. The Islanders press at 6 minutes. The shots are 4-2 for Detroit 9 minutes into the period. Detroit was almost done with the shots at that stage, though. We get a power play for the Islanders. That's killed off. The shots remain very few and far between. This is low event hockey right here. Islanders press with 3.5 minutes left with 2:58 left. The Islanders get a power play. Detroit kills that off. The Islanders press to close it out. It's still 1-0 Detroit after 2. And I kept thinking, so the Islanders at some point are really going to open this up. And no, they didn't. Third period. No shots on net, 3.5 minutes in. I'm scrolling through all these games and I'm like, I have to write something on the board for this game. People are not going to think that I was monitoring this at all. Lee has a slot shot chance that ends up getting defended. It doesn't get to the net. Halfway through the period, the shots are only 3 apiece. The Islanders press with 8 minutes left. With 5:29 left, the Islanders get a power play. That's killed off. The Islanders press after it's done. With 2:49 left, the Islanders call a timeout as they're pulling the goalie. But the Wings hold on by a lot of shot blocks and Lyon being excellent. Final shot, or the final score of this one's 1-0 for Detroit. That's the Tony the Tiger Magnet. The shots on net, 8-3 Islanders in the first, 14-6 Islanders in the second, 7-2 for the Islanders in the third. So Detroit had 4 shots in the last 30 minutes of this game. Final shots are 29-11 for the New York Islanders. Power plays, Detroit 0 for 1, the Islanders 0 for 3. The hits, 13-10 for the Islanders. Wasn't even a lot of hitting in this. Lyon saves all 29 shots for the shutout, and Sorokin saved 10 out of the 11 he faced. He loses with 1 goal allowed. So, yeah, there's that one. All right, next up. The Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. So it's Hellebuck versus Binnington. Shots are 1 apiece, 2.5 minutes in. Neither team had an easy path to net. In fact, what I saw of this game, it kind of had a playoff feel to it. Neighbors is denied on a net drive. The Jets press at 6.5 minutes. Blues press at the half, and they would score. Saad buries a rebound in close from Thomas and Parayko at 10 minutes and 11 seconds. Shots are 5-4 St. Louis with 6.5 minutes left. Velarde has a slot shot. That's blocked. Gabe Velarde is just snake bit right now. 48.8 seconds left. The Blues have a power play. So St. Louis is up 1-0 after 1. To start the second period, the Jets finish the kill. We then get a power play for Winnipeg, and Velarde can't bury one in close. Power play's killed off. So there's like 13 games on. I got Velarde's name on the board twice for not quite being able to get the goal there. Shots are 3-2 for the Jets at 6.5 minutes. The Jets go back to the power play. This is the one they scored on. It's Niederreiter tipping one out of the air. Pionk and Perfetti with the assists at 8 minutes and 12 seconds. Teams exchange rushes, and then at 13:58, Miller with a point shot past the screen on a rush. He scores his first goal of the season. Perfetti and Ehlers with the assists. Nino to Appleton, there's a near miss. And then at 17:40, Kyle Connor scores for Winnipeg to make it a 3-1 score. Sandberg and Perfetti with the assists. Then the Blues press with 2 minutes left. And yeah, that goal I ended up missing. And it's a good thing that my wife looked at the board and pointed it out, so I would get that goal down here. Apologies. Just one of those things. It's the only one I missed all night. I'm so proud. So it's 3-1 for Winnipeg after 2 periods of play. Third period, the shots are 1 apiece at 4 minutes. There's a near miss for Appleton on a rush. And then at 5:15, Saad scores from Kyrou and Thomas. So this is where the tension comes into the game, because now it's only a 1-goal lead. Blues press at the half, and then there's a delay game call. The Blues go to the power play. So that's killed off. The Blues press after it's done. The Jets get some pressure. They can't get to the net. Ehlers feels that he was tripped, and the replay showed it. Could have been called a slew foot, but nothing gets called there. The goalie pull happens with 1 minute and 35 seconds left. Shen can't bury one in close, and then Iafallo goes for the empty net. That's blocked, but the Jets hang on anyways. They win this one 3-2. They go to 6-0 to start the season. So while people are talking about my jinxing powers, Winnipeg's number 1 on the power rankings, and they've won twice since the power rankings went live. It's like they don't matter. So the Blues dropped to 4-3 with the loss, but it was a very entertaining game. Shots on net, 11-6 St. Louis in the first, 14-9 Winnipeg in the second, 9-4 St. Louis in the third. Final shots 29-24 for St. Louis. Power plays 1 for 2 for Winnipeg, 0 for 2 for St. Louis. The hits 22-14 St. Louis. Hellebuck saves 27 out of 29. He had a good night. Binnington saves 21 out of 24. And now I need to change boards. All right, so halftime has passed. Vancouver and Chicago. So it was Lankinen versus Mrazek, and very quickly Vancouver scores. So I've just loaded it up on my tablet, and they're up already. It is Heinen with his first goal as a Canuck. He scores from Bluger and Sherwood at 21 seconds. It's a tic-tac-toe play and buried. So nice play right out of the gate. Hoglander then has a wraparound that save. The shots are 4 apiece at 4 minutes. I kind of felt like the Canucks shots were more dangerous. Canucks then draw a power play and they score on it. At 6:01, it's JT Miller burying a rebound. Hughes and Garland with the assists. The Hawks press at 7 minutes, and eventually they do get on the board. Donato buries one in close. Was good forechecking by that line. Dickinson and Vlasic with the assists at 9:25. The Canucks score. There's an offside challenge by Luke Richardson, but it's not offside. It's barely onside, but it is. Heinen gets this one from Hronik and Sherwood at 10:48. So Kiefer Sherwood started getting some points. So it counts. That means the Canucks go to the power play, but that is killed off, and not long after, at 13:29 on a turnover, Taylor Hall gets his 700th point on a goal. Connor Murphy with the assist. He buries that one from the slot. but the Canucks get it back. Garland buries a rebound. Pettersson and Miller with the assists at 15-17. It was a nice play by Pettersson to set it up. Mrazek was unhappy. I think he felt like he was interfered with. But after the first period, the score's 4-2 for Vancouver. I was pretty sure this was going to be an 80s game. I thought 10 goals were easy, but 9 goals is not an 80s game. Second period, the Canucks press at 3 minutes. The shots are 3-2, Vancouver at 4 minutes. Garland's tonight is the Canucks press. Shots are 9-4, Vancouver at the half. We get a power play for the Hawks. That's killed off. The Hawks press with 3 minutes left. With 2:56 left, the Hawks get a power play. That's killed off. And the Canucks press after it ends. So it stays 4-2 after the second period. Third period, Athanasiou's tonight on a rush. We get a power play for Chicago. That's killed off. Shots are 3-2 for Chicago at 8 minutes. The Canucks then draw a power play, and they score on it. At 10:29, Besser scores from Miller and Hughes. The Canucks then look for another, and after Mrazek holds on to a puck and the faceoff takes place, Suter scores. He buries one in close. Brandstrom and Amon with the assists at 10:58. So that's 2 goals in 29 seconds for the Canucks and makes it a 6-2 score. So then there's power play number 4 for Chicago, and that becomes a 5-on-3. And 5-on-3s are difficult to defend, and in this case it scores. Bertuzzi buries a rebound. Foligno and Jones with the assist. That's at 14:04. The Canucks then kill off the 5-on-4. So the Canucks win the game 6-3. They go to 3-1-2 with the win. Chicago 2-4-1 with the loss. Shots on net, 13-11 Chicago in the first, 12-10 Chicago in the second. Both teams had 9 shots in the third. Final shots, 34-30 for Chicago. Power plays, Vancouver 2 for 3, Chicago 1 for 5. The hits, 25-16 for the Vancouver Canucks. Lankinen, 31 saves on 34 shots. Another quality start from Lankinen. And Mrazek, 24 saves on 30 shots. And it's pretty bad when even the Canucks announcers are feeling bad for the goaltender, but they were feeling bad for Mrazek tonight. He played well. The stats don't tell you that he did. All right, and next up, Colorado and Seattle. So this was the second of the triple header on ESPN. It was late because, of course, it's weird too because they always say, okay, it's every 15 minutes a game starts, but it didn't. So Annunen versus Grubauer in this one. We get a post for Gord early on a 2-on-1. Kraken really had the early jump. The shots are 3-0 for them 2.5 minutes in. And then a post is helping out the Abs too. So the Abs a little bit of luck in there with the good defensive side of it. And goaltending. Shots are 7-0 Seattle at 5 minutes. So the Kraken came out. They were really, really determined to get the win here. Doesn't happen. Kraken press with 9 minutes left. Eberle's tonight on a rebound. McKinnon to Rantanen. There's a near miss. And then on a rush, Kiviranta goes posting in. Malinsky with the assist at 18:32. The Avs then press to close it out. So the momentum shifts late in the period, and Colorado comes out with a 1-0 lead after one. Second period, the shots are 2-1 Avs, 4.5 minutes in. We then get a power play for Colorado. Makar is a one-timer, that's held. The power play's killed off. Colton's denied right after it ends. Kraken press with 8.5 minutes left, and at 11:57, McCann backhands one in close. So no assists on that, so it was just an avalanche stick over to him, and there you go. And then at 14:56, the Avs answer. Kiviranta tips one in. Makar and Ivan with the assists, so that makes it 2-1 for the Avalanche. The Avs press with 3 minutes left. The Avs at this point had 11 of the last 12 shots in the game. They were just taking over. With 35.7 seconds left, they draw a power play, and they score on it before the period's out. At 19:52, it's McKinnon from Makar and Middlestad. He just kind of walks in and wires it. And so it's a goal scorer's goal, and it's 3-1 Colorado after 2. Third period, there's an early power play for Colorado. That's killed off. The Avs had the only shot 3 minutes into the period. Seattle presses at 5.5 minutes. Colton's then denied on a rush. The Avs press with 7.5 minutes left. There's a goalie pull, and McKinnon hits the empty net almost right away, but he's offside, so that doesn't count. We get 2 minutes. With 2 minutes left, we get a penalty. So you pull the goalie as well. It becomes 6-on-4. Stevenson has a net feed that's held, and then at 19:55, so there's not enough time left to tie it. But Evans makes it close. Tolvanen and Burakovsky with the assists. Riker Evans burying a rebound to make it a closer score of 3-2, but the Avs win. They are 3-4 on the season. They have almost dug their way out of this mess. Seattle drops to 4-3 with the loss. The shots on net, 12-5 Seattle in the first, 17-5 Colorado in the second, 10-6 Seattle in the third. Final shots, 28-27 Colorado. Power plays, the Avs 1 for 3, Seattle 1 for 1. The hits, 18-17 Seattle. Annunen saves 25 out of 27. Grubauer saves 25 out of 28. So Yeah, pretty entertaining game. And then another game where there wasn't really much to report on because, I mean, look at this. Swayman versus Saros. And I'm going to say that my video today did not get Nashville to win. Boston not scoring got Nashville to win. So the shots are 3-2 Nashville at 3 minutes. We had a fight between Kastelik and Shen. So Luke Shen has had 2 fights, I think, since his 1,000th game. Novak's tonight as the Preds get some pressure. Boston draws a power play. That's killed off. The Preds go to the power play, and they score on it. It is O'Reilly from Yossi and Forsberg at 17-15. The Preds then look for another. It's 1-0 Nashville after 1. And it's weird, but watching Boston, I was just like, well, they don't have it tonight. Second period. Pressed by Nashville at 4 minutes. They don't get shots. In fact, the shots are 7-0 Boston at 5.5 minutes. Just Saros is in the zone tonight. He was due for a good game. Did you see my video earlier today? You saw his stats. He was due for a good game. So we get a power play for Nashville. That's killed off. The momentum shifts at that point to the Preds. Preds go back to the power play. That's a 4-minute power play. They don't score on it. But Novak would score at 16:55 to make it 2-0 Nashville. Evangelista and Shea with the assist, and then the Preds look for another. So it's 2-0 Nashville after the second period, and the Bruins were busy wasting what was actually a really good game for Swayman tonight. Third period, there's a press by Nashville at 2 minutes. We get a power play for Boston. That's killed off. Bruins press after that's done. Shots on net, though, are only 2 apiece at 7 minutes, so not a lot is getting to the net. We get a press by Nashville. They're kept to the outside. Shots are only 5 apiece with 8.5 minutes left. And at 12:47 on a rush, who wires it? Nyquist. I mentioned him in that video today, too. O'Reilly and Yossi with the assist. So a lot of players that needed a positive game and something good to happen, a lot of them got that tonight for Nashville. The early goalie pull happens because they're down 3, and I felt like, hey, this is deja vu. Didn't this happen with Dallas? Yeah, it sure did. But unlike Dallas, who got a couple of goals, Boston does not. And Evangelista hits the empty net at 13:56 to put Boston behind by 4. We get a power play for Boston. That's killed off. Nashville wins 4-0. Pretty convincing. And so the Tony the Tiger Magnets on the board. Nashville's now 1-5 on the season. And Boston's 3-3-1. Shots on net, 14-9 Nashville in the first, 17-14 Nashville in the second, 11-10 Nashville in the third. Final shots, 42-33 for the Preds. Power plays, Boston 0 for 4, Nashville 1 for 6. The hits, 32-17 Nashville. Swayman saves 38 out of 41. Saros saves all 33 shots for the shutout. There were a few shutouts tonight. And I think the NHL made that happen by saying, you know, if every team scores tonight, that'll be the first time all 32 teams scored. And I was like, all right, so all 32 teams won't score because you guys said that. So see, people say that to my videos, and I say it to the NHL's videos. So I wonder who the NHL says it to. Probably my videos. It's probably all circular. All right, next up, last one on this board is Carolina and the Oilers. So it's Anderson versus Skinner. The early chances are for the Oilers. The shots are 3-0 Edmonton, 2.5 minutes in. And at 3:34, McDavid scores for Edmonton from Nugent Hopkins. So yeah, the Oilers, a great start for them. Oilers go to the power play. Hyman tips one high. Power play's killed off, but 3 shots on net. Zach Hyman's just not allowed to get goals, apparently. The Oilers press after that's done. Drury then whiffs on an open net. He had a beautiful chance. He wouldn't get it. He couldn't get it in the net as the Canes had some pressure. Shots are 6-3 for the Oilers with 9 minutes left. We get a power play for Carolina. That's killed off. McDavid to Draisaitl. There's a near miss there. Aho has a shot that's held as the Canes get some pressure. The Oilers go over 8.5 minutes between shots in that period. 2:17 left. The Oilers get their second power play. That's killed off. The Oilers' power play usually pretty lethal, and so far this year, not quite so much. So it's 1-0 Oilers after the first period. Early in the second period, the Oilers get a power play. They do score on it. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It's McDavid with the second of the game. Draisaitl and Bouchard with the assists. And he just outweights Anderson and buries it. Makes it look easy because it's Connor McDavid, and that's what he can do. Oilers look to add another. Jarvis is then denied and close. Stuart Skinner holds there. Oilers go back to the power play. That one's killed off. Shots are 6-5 Oilers with 6.5 minutes left. The Canes, they get some pressure with 2.5 minutes left. And with 59 seconds left, the Canes go to the power play. So it's 2-0 Oilers after the second period, but they're looking pretty good. To that point, Carolina has 22 shots, but they don't have a goal out of it. So Skinner's held pretty well. So third period, 44 seconds in on the power play, Goss to spare scores. He gets the goal from Natchez and Aho. So suddenly it's a 2-1 game. Hyman is then robbed on a two-on-one rush because, again, he's not allowed to get goals this year. He just had too many goals last year, so none this year. Shots are 4 apiece at 7 minutes. Slavin defends a McDavid rush, which is way harder than it sounds. Skinner's denied on a 3-on-2 rush, and I mean Jeff Skinner, not Stuart Skinner. Oilers press with 9.5 minutes left. The Canes press with 8 minutes left, and eventually they score. Natchez tips one in from the side of the net, from beside the net. Robinson and Kotkaniemi with the assists on that one, so that makes it a 2-2 tie and makes the crowd a little bit nervous. Canes press for the lead. Solid defense by both in the closing minutes, so it looked like both teams were like, all right, we'll just play for the point. Not worried about, regulation wins and losses right now. Just want to make sure you get a point, so we go to overtime. Oilers controlled early. Hyman's denied and close. Aho can't finish one on a breakaway. Arvidsson has a rush chance that's saved, and then is barring out for Natchez on a rush. So Canes were getting opportunities, and eventually one goes in at 4:53. So just as I'm getting ready to say, it's going to be a shootout, Aho scores from Natchez and Gostisbehere, and he just roofs it from the right circle. Your final score is 3-2 in overtime for Carolina. They go to 3-2 on the season. Edmonton drops to 2-4-1 with the overtime loss. Shots on net, 13-9 Carolina in the first, 10-9 Edmonton in the second, 11-8 Edmonton in the third, and 5-3 Carolina in the overtime. It was an exciting overtime. Final shots, 35-33 for the Oilers. Power plays, 1 for 2 for Carolina, 1 for 4 for Edmonton. The hits, 25-14 for Carolina. Freddie Anderson, good night for him. 33 saves on 35 shots. Skinner, 30 saves on 33 shots. And now we change to the final board of the night. And this uses all of my 4-game boards. I only have 4 of them. And this is why I have 4 of them, because you can only have 16 games in a night. And here we are. And it's the only night all year that you have 16 games. So I'm kind of happy and upbeat right now because I won't have to do this for the rest of the season. So Ottawa and Utah, and yes, that's a different magnet than I've been using, and yeah, they're Bigfoot, whatever. It's more fun than just the word Utah being on the board, to me personally. Now, it's Forsberg versus Ingram. Maybe they don't need Ullmark. I mean, at this point, the Sens are just on a run, so the shots are 5-0 Utah at 2.5 minutes, and 7 minutes in, there's still no shots for Ottawa. So this is where it's really quite crazy busy, but I did my best. Utah presses at 9 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. And at 11:43, believe this is a 4-on-4 goal. It's a tic-tac-toe play from the left circle. Batherson scores from Norris and Jensen. At 13:06, they add another. Giroux, and he wires it top shelf. One of the prettiest goals of the night. It's a 2-on-1, and it's only the 3rd shot on net, but good luck getting that one. Jensen with the assist on that. So Jensen with a couple of helpers. With 2:10 left, the Sens go to the power play, and they score on it. At 18:05, Ridley Gregg jams one in. That's only the 6th shot on net for Ottawa as well. And then at 19:52, to really take the crowd out of it, Brady Tkachuk scores from Chabot and Stützle. It's 4-0 Ottawa after the first period. And then the rest of the way, not a whole lot happens. Second period, Hayden's denied early. The shots are 6-1 Utah at 3.5 minutes. So in both the first and second period, Utah had tons of opportunities, and Forsberg's just hoovering them up. Not having a problem with it. Sens press at 6 minutes. There's a press by Utah at 7 minutes. Stenlund misses what was a prime opportunity that very well could have broken the goose egg and doesn't. There's a power play for Utah. That's killed off. We get another 2 minutes of 4-on-4. There's a net feed to Keller that gets picked off. And again, just can't say enough good things about Forsberg's play tonight, but it stays 4-0 after 2. Third period, shots are 1 apiece at 3 minutes. Utah presses at 5 minutes. We get a power play for Utah. That's killed off. Sens press at 9.5 minutes. The shots are 5-4 Ottawa with 8.5 minutes left. Tkachuk then has a chance. That's held. We get some pushing on that. And honestly, this was kind of I don't want to say ugly, because ugly is like brawling and everything, but there was a little nastiness in this game, a little bit. Considering how busy I was with all the other games, every time I went over this game, I'm like, hey, they're pushing again. Tkachuk has the chances held and pushing, so Brady Tkachuk's on the ice, of course, and now you've added Nick Cousins to that, so yeah, you're going to have a lot of scrums on the ice. Utah presses with 2 minutes left, but in the end, it's the 6th career shutout for Forsberg. They win 4-0 to those Sens. They go to 4-2 on the season. It's that good start Ottawa's needed to a season. Maybe this is the year. Ottawa goes to 4-2, while Utah drops to 4-2-1. Shots on net favored Utah in the first and second, 10-9 in the first, 14-5 in the second, and then in the third, Ottawa outshoots them 9-7. They go into a nice shell and make sure they preserve that shutout. Final shots 31-23 Utah. Power plays, Ottawa scored on the only one they had. Utah goes 0 for 2 on theirs. It's unusual that there's only 3 power plays in a game that has this much pushing and shoving and just general displeasure and dislike. Hits were 38-29 for Ottawa. The hits do tell a little bit of a story there. That's more than a hit a minute. Forsberg, 31 saves for the shutout. Ingram plays the first period, saves 5 out of 9. Vejmelka goes the rest of the way, saves the 14 shots that he faced. And for Utah, we'll see how they bounce back in their next one. All right, next up, Pittsburgh and Calgary. This was a fun one. So, Nedeljkovic versus Wolf. There's an early power play for the Flames. That's killed off. But the shots are 6-0 Calgary at 4.5 minutes. There are a lot of really good starts by teams tonight. Teams trade turnovers. The Flames press at 8 minutes. Possible solo as a rush. That's defended. Both goalies were sharp until at 11:48, Rasmus Andersson buries one on a rush. Kirkland and Lomberg with the assists. Kirkland's becoming a story, isn't he? Penguins I should say, get a power play. That's killed off. Then with 1:12 left, the Flames get a power play. Zary can't hit the buzzer beater. So it's 1-0 Calgary after 1. The power play rolls over into the second period. Penguins finish the kill. They get some pressure at 2.5 minutes. We then get a power play for Calgary. That's killed off as well. Teams trade rush chances. Beauvillier has a shot that's held. We then get a power play for Pittsburgh, and they score on it. Their power play definitely seems to be better than last year, which is good, because last year it was really awful. Rust gets this one. It was early in the power play, too. Crosby and Carlson with the assists at 6:31. Flames press at 7 minutes. The shots are 6-3 Penguins at 9 minutes. We get a press by the Flames at 9.5 minutes. Malkin gets denied. Wolf holds on there. Things are pushy on the next hold by Wolf, as fans are finding out Dustin Wolf's a pretty good goaltender. Zary gets denied and close. Puck gets cleared out. We get another power play for Calgary. That one's killed off as well. Penguins get a turn on the power play, which leads to a shorthanded post for Rasmus Andersson. That power play is killed off. Honestly, I thought the best chances for the Flames on that one, but it's 1-1 after 2. Third period, early power play for the Penguins. Malkin has the blast that deflects wide, and then 3 seconds after the power play's done, Raquel scores at 2:32. Hayes and Grzelcyk with the assists. Flames press at 7.5 minutes, and they would score. Uyghur has a slapper that goes past a screen and deflects in off one of Pittsburgh's defenders, I believe. Miramanov and Coleman with the assists there, so that gives the Flames a 2-2 tie at that point. Things get punchy on a hold by Wolf. Then there's a post for Raquel as the Penguins press. And at 13:41, Achari turns and wires it and buries it in close. Glass and Pettersson with the assists there. So Pittsburgh gets their lead back. So Calgary's forced to pull the goalie with 1:45 left. And they score. At 19:17, it's Kadri from Coleman and Anderson. Kadri bearing a rebound. So now we're in overtime, and I don't have any room left on the board. So the Penguins controlled early. The fans call when the referee doesn't. Penguins get the only shots of overtime, but we're going to the shootout. The shootout went 6 rounds, and it's Kirkland that gets the winner. So the Flames win this one 4-3 in a shootout. They go to 5-0-1 with the win. Pittsburgh drops to 3-4-1 with the shootout loss. Shots on net were 12 apiece in the first, 13-6 Pittsburgh in the second, 11-7 Pittsburgh in the third. They had both shots in the overtime. Final shots 38-25 for the Penguins. Power plays, Pittsburgh 1 for 4, Calgary 0 for 4. The hits 31-24 for Pittsburgh. Nedeljkovic, 22 saves on 25 shots. And Wolf, great game for Wolf, 35 saves on 38 shots. The kid's a good goaltender. That's why you can trade Markstrom, because Wolf was ready. All right, next up, San Jose and Anaheim. I'm going to say this. This game was actually entertaining. It was. There were too many power plays early for it to get any kind of flow, but there's some fun young players to watch on both teams. So it's Blackwood versus Dostal. Early power play for the Sharks. That's killed off. 2 shots. Ducks then get a power play. That's killed off as well. Coming into tonight, Anaheim's power play did not have a goal. Shots are 5-3 for the Ducks at 6 minutes. The Ducks go back to the power play. There's a shorthanded crossbar for Cunnin, which helps to kill that off as well. Gauthier has a net drive chance that's held. The Ducks press with 7.5 minutes left. With 41 seconds left, the Ducks get another power play, and things get kind of pushy at the horn, but there's no scoring after the first. Second period. Sharks finish the kill. The shots are 4-3 for Anaheim, 4.5 minutes in. Sharks press at 5 minutes, but the Ducks go back to the power play and they score on it. It's Troy Terry wiring one from the slot on a rush. And when your power play is struggling, that's kind of how they end up going in. You're going to get it on a rush. It doesn't look like a power play goal. Lacombe and Gauthier with the assists at 6:56. The Sharks press to respond. Things get kind of pushy on a hold by Blackwood because teams in California don't like one another. McGinn has a shot that's held as the Ducks press. The teams trade rush chances. And then there's a post for Goudreau in the closing seconds. But it's 1-0 Anaheim after 2. Third period. Early press by the Sharks. We get a power play for San Jose. Eklund gets robbed, but they would score on it. Granlund scores from Eklund and Jack Thompson at 4:55. I believe that's Jack Thompson's first NHL point. So then the Ducks get a power play, and they score on theirs as well. It was all special teams tonight, mostly anyways. Carlson buries a rebound and close, just a loose puck he puts in. Gauthier and McTavish with the assists at 5:36. So less than a minute after San Jose ties it, Anaheim gets that power play and scores to get the lead back. Ducks press for another, and just the dislike was ramping up over and over. Ducks get another power play that's killed off. Granlund has a rush chance that's held. Shots are 8-6 for Anaheim with 7 minutes left. With 2:20 left, the Sharks call a timeout and pull the goaltender, which means Killorn hits the empty net at 18:09 to give the Ducks the 3-1 victory. Anaheim goes to 3-2-1. They're above 500. There you go. They're above 500 this late in the season. The San Jose Sharks still winless. I have a prop I'm going to use when they get their first win. I don't know when that's going to be, but they're 0-5-2. I may have to use that prop if their winless streak reaches 10, because then I have to do a video. Shots on net, 13-10 Anaheim in the first, 17-10 Anaheim in the second, 10-8 Anaheim in the third. They outshoot San Jose 40-28, which I don't feel like tells the whole story. I think Anaheim, yeah, they had a lot of shots, but I think San Jose had good moments there too. San Jose 1 for 2 on the power play, Anaheim 2 for 6. The hits 22-15 for San Jose. Blackwood saved 37 out of 39. He was excellent. Dostal was as well, 27 saves on 28 shots. So Dostal continues to put up really, really good numbers. All right, and next up, last up, LA versus Vegas. That's right. Riddick versus Samsonov. There's a shoulder save on Edmondson early. The shots are 2-1 for the Kings at 3 minutes. Kings have a 3-on-2 that gets defended. We get a power play for LA. That's killed off, and then Vegas opens the scoring. Hurdle scores from Stone and Eichel at 9:07. LaFerriere to Turcotte. There's a near miss there. We get a power play for Vegas, and they score on it. It's Mark Stone from Hurdle and Hanifin at 13:51, and then Vegas would add another. Dorofeev adding this one at 15:12 from Hurdle and Korzak. It's 3-0 for Vegas. I don't know what's happened to LA's defense, but it looks gone this week, doesn't it? Then there's a post for Pietrangelo as Vegas press is looking for another. So it's 3-0 after 1 in favor of the Vegas Golden Knights. Second period, there were no shots on net 3 minutes into the period. It was like they were emulating the Islanders-Detroit game at that point. Press by Vegas at 5.5 minutes. Then there's a post for Brandt Clark as the Kings press. Press by Vegas at 9 minutes. Eichel gets denied from the side of the net. We get a power play for the Kings. It becomes 4 seconds of 5-on-3, and it's a 4-minute penalty that's called on the play as well. So this is like the key moment of the game for LA to see whether or not they could use that double minor to get on the board. And there's a bar and out for Turcotte. Vegas kills that off, and Samsonov holds after. Elias Samsonov is off to a very good start for Vegas. The Kings, though, they press, and they would score. At 19:07, Fogle from Edmondson and Spence. He buries a rebound in close, gets LA on the board, and it makes it 3-1 after 2 periods of play. Third period. Early jump for Vegas. Hurdle to Howden. There's a near miss there. And then at 2:59, Holtz gets his first goal as a Golden Knight. He buries it from the slot. Pietrangelo with the assist, as Pietrangelo had quite the third period. The Kings press at 5.5 minutes. The shots, though, were 3-2 for Vegas at 7 minutes. At 8:26, Hurdle buries a rebound in close. Pietrangelo and Dorofeev with the assists there. Kings press at 9.5 minutes, but at 13:25, Barbashev adds another for, I guess, insurance. In reality, it's to get the no mercy magnet on the board. I'm sure Vegas Golden Knights are watching it. Stone and Pietrangelo with the assists on that one. It's 6-1, and that's your score. LA had opportunities after that, and they pressed after that, but they weren't getting 5 goals. It wasn't going to happen. Vegas goes to 4-2-1 in the season. LA drops to 3-2-2 at the loss. Shots on net, 12 apiece in the first, 10 apiece in the second, and 10-8 LA in the third. Final shots, 32-30 for LA. I don't think that tells the story. Power plays, LA 0 for 4, Vegas 2 for 2. that tells part of the story. The hits 33-21 for LA. Riddick 24 saves on 30 shots, not great stats for him. And Samsonov saves 31 out of 32. Okay, so there we go. 54 minutes, and last year I think this took 55 minutes for me to do the review of the 16 games, and we're all done. So I did it, just the normal review, the way that I always do, and I got her done. I'm kind of surprised. There was no major meltdown or malfunction tonight. All right, there you go. So if you were waiting for a meltdown or a malfunction or complaining, I apologize. Maybe next time. All right, thank you guys so much for all your support. Hope you enjoyed the Frozen Frenzy and all that. And it's sad that Brock Besser got a goal, and I didn't have the time to voice message my wife with Brock Besser, you know, the way that I punched that out like that. But anyways, there you go. Thank you guys for all your support as always. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always as well. If you haven't already hit like and subscribe, please do. Every now and then I see comments from people saying, well, why would you do this? Like, people can watch the highlights. They absolutely can. And I expect people to watch highlights for hockey. I do this to try to provide some context to games that maybe go a little bit beyond the highlights and talk about some stuff I noticed in the games. And I enjoy doing it this way, which is why it ended up going that way for 16 games tonight. So thank you guys for all your support. It is appreciated, and I will talk to you again soon.